Hey everybody, my next guest is a comedian and impressionist who won on Dana Carvey's first impressions in the USA. He's also well known for his online presence on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, for his viral impersonation of President Trump, as well as Joe Biden and many other personalities. He is also a cast member of That Show Tonight with Michael Loftus. Here he is, folks, the one and only Jason Scoop. Scoop, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. Life is good. I'm happy.
Yeah, man. It seems like things are taking off. Are you still in Miami right now?
No, I'm in New York. I got an apartment in the city. I left my parents' house and yeah, I'm living on the Upper East Side right now.
Nice, man. And when did you make that leap?
January 1st.
So you starting off 2024 on your own in the big city.
Yes,
What,
sir.
yeah, how's it been so far?
Oh, it's been good. I mean, the city's, it's well publicized, all the issues that the city has. But despite all that, it's always going to be New York City. It's always going to be, it's good for live entertainment, which is what I do. So I've been doing stand up all over, downtown, uptown, midtown, Queens, Brooklyn, all over the place. Yeah, I mean, I make the best of every situation. I could be
Yeah,
living in Ethiopia right now, and I'd be like, it's great. I could be in the middle of war-torn Ukraine. I could be in Gaza. I'm gonna say it's great because you could pretty much program your own reality. Some people don't realize that, and that's why they're like, I hate my life. It's like you can choose to have a great life.
right. I agree with that. I think there is something to that. I always tell people and tell my kids, everything begins and ends with you.
Yeah,
You can't rely on other people or all of that. So if you decide to have, it's like the laws of attraction. If you decide negativity is going to be the way, then that's what you're going to draw in.
exactly. And another thing you said about you got to rely on yourself. That's the term to long. That's the way to long-term happiness. Because short-term happiness is, oh, so and so's doing me a favor. Da 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 da. Oh, I got this for free. But nothing for everything that's free comes back to bite you in the behind, whether it's 6 months later, a year later, and your friends, once you start to do this and that, they're like, well, remember that time? How come? Da 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 da. So, like you said, rely on numero uno, and you'll be good.
Exactly, man. And because there are no shortcuts, man. And
Yeah,
the shortcuts, it kind of to what you said, the shortcuts become longer cuts in the long run.
exactly. They say a shortcut is the longest distance between two places.
Exactly, man. No, this is good, man. You're doing cameos, you're doing all this stuff now. Tell me about, because to get a cameo, you need a certain criteria, right? What's the criteria to get on Cameo?
I was asked to join Cameo. And
See,
luckily, I was asked at the right time because so I was asked to join Cameo because of when I first gained notoriety off TikTok. And shortly after Cameo asked me to join, TikTok threw me off TikTok. That was my first TikTok. I'm 3 TikToks in now, and I've built it back up higher than even the first one. But the first losing my first TikTok was like a devastating blow, which is another point. Never give up. Never give up. No matter how many times you get knocked, no matter how many times they took my TikTok away, I made a new TikTok and I found clever ways to get my point through while coloring within the lines. So I'm
right.
coloring in the lines, but it's like putting the tail in the peanut butter to get the dog or the baby to eat it. So Cameo reached out, but before that, so basically doing these cameos was the first time ever. I'm 32 years old now, and I've been doing Cameo for a couple years, but it was the first time I ever made money. I was in show business stand-up for 10 years. I think I made about $10,000 over 10 years doing stand-up. And then I got on TikTok, and before the Cameo people asked me to join, people would DM me, hey, is it possible you could do a Trump wishing my dad a happy birthday? Or could you do Trump wishing my mom, or whatever? And I'd be like, sure. And I started to make money for the first time. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was like the most gratifying thing. And then I got on Cameo. luckily, right before they threw me off TikTok, I had that cameo.
Right.
And then I worked so hard, Don. I worked so freaking hard to try and promote my Instagram. And I did all the tricks. I watched all these YouTube videos, top 10 ways to pull up your Instagram audience. And nothing. I did everything. I did the like, make it this many seconds. Do this. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. But I tried and I tried and I tried. Then, slowly but surely, I got my third TikTok, which hasn't,
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Yes, has not been thrown off yet. And then everything changed for me. My whole life changed. My whole everything went from this to that on April 4th of this year when Donald J. Trump got indicted in New York. I went to the indictment just like I always do in Trump material.
Right.
We love this guy. We did so much. Look, blacks for Trump, and they all know. And they come up to me. They say, under Obama, there were no jobs, and under sleepy Joe Biden, there's no jobs. Okay. If you look at what we're doing, and it was tremendous when I was in office. They've never seen so much basketball or hip hop. Under Biden, there's no more hip hop. And there's no more basketball, believe me.
And I didn't even notice until like 3, 4, 5 days later. I opened Instagram. I'm like, wait, 100,000 views, 50,000 views, 1 million views. Oh my gosh, my followers are going up. If I had given up, because a lot of people just give up.
Right, yeah.
If I had given up, that never would have happened.
Right on, man. You kept pushing through, and at the Trump indictment, you went down there and dressed up as Trump, and you started chants and all that kind of stuff, and you got looked like a good time.
All this stuff, blacks for Trump, because one of the things I do that people love is when I go, the African Americans. And so that was, my fans, they love that. They love that. So here I am at the indictment. And then I see 10 feet away about 20 guys in blacks for Trump t-shirts. And I'm like, this is it. This is the moment. This is God put me in blacks for Trump together. And then it was like an explosion. That video, 15 million views on TikTok, 5 million views on Instagram. And then it made its way to Twitter. And I mean, it was every other Trump impersonators were like throwing shade. It's like, damn, if I'm getting hate from other Trump impersonators, you made it.
But when I get back in there, hip hop is gonna be back. If you look, we're talking to Little Boosie. Hey, take his Louisiana Heat. If you look at the rap snacks, they're delicious. Look at these cameras. Show the people the fake news. They won't show that crowd. But it's a tremendous crowd. And it's fantastic. My own daughter, Ivanka, she's like, I'm going to stay home today, Dad. I'm like, oh, really? Well, we'll see. We'll see what the will says.
Yes. That's awesome, man. And you must have then seen an increase also back to the cameo stuff. So
yes, because that went from only holidays or mostly holidays to just on the regular all the time business. And, I'm just very happy. I'm very thankful. I feel very blessed, very lucky. And I say to everybody, because I try to pay it forward, it's like people who are trying to do something and it hasn't taken off fully, just keep going. Now, granted, there's a lot of people who suck who keep going. Right. And it's like they need the opposite advice. It's like if you keep doing something, like let's say comedy, if you keep going up there and getting no laughs, I always got laughs. Right. I didn't blow up. I wasn't on SNL, but I always got laughs.
Right, yeah.
I know exactly why I didn't progress further, because of my own self, because I would get drunk every night. I would fraternize with the young ladies in the audience and the waitresses and everything. These are all things that kick yourself in the shin. You understand? But I don't look backwards. I look forwards. I don't say, oh God, when I was 18, when I was 19, when I was 20, why didn't I do this? Because all those things brought me to where I am now.
Yeah, you have to learn the lessons in order to correct course. And that's where, to get philosophical, that's when failure is a good thing, because you learn from your failures of what not to do, and you keep, correcting yourself until finally you get on TikTok 3 break through with the Blacks for Trumps, and then next thing you know, you're on the rocket ship.
Look at her. She's in high school. She loves Trump. There we go. There we go. I'm yanking everybody into success. I'm yanking you into jobs. College, you got college. There you go. You want a degree? There we go. I make all dreams come true. I'm Tinkerbell. There you go, sweetheart.
I'm thankful for it. I'm really thankful. I don't want to jinx anything. I feel like every day I wake up, I feel like I'm on thin ice. That's another thing. If I got this success when I was 20, I would have gotten such a big head. I would have gotten so cocky. Now I wake up every morning being like, okay, I'm still breathing. I'm still here. Let's go out. Let's keep working. Let's keep hustling. And another thing, wow, I didn't realize I would be this, I guess, I don't want to say preachy, but I feel like.
This is great.
I don't know. Yeah, because normally I'm not this. I don't know. I feel a little preachy right now, but I guess there's some things I want to get off my chest. Okay, I've met a lot of like really rich people in my life that are miserable, right? And then a lot of people who live in the projects that are like the happiest people in the world. And it's all perspective, right? It's all being thankful for what you got. So when I started comedy, going to open mics in Long Island and in the city, I was really young, right? And there were guys, I'm 32 now. So there were guys who were in their 30s then who I thought were my friend, but really they were like hating and jealous because I was young and everything. So I always said to myself, wow, I hope when I'm in my 30s, I don't hate on young people, right? I always said, because you can't control, when I get angry or whatever, it just, sometimes it's like a monster that you can't control. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get that reaction. But luckily, all my interactions with younger people, even when I worked at a moving company 3 years ago before I was able to quit the day job, thank God. Okay. And I worked with a bunch of young people, and I love the young people. Now, not all of them. Some of them were annoying. Some of them, one guy, this is a moving company, and he was like talking about being a they, them. And so he was sort of the outcast. But I got to tell you, to guys, and I'm a millennial and you're a Gen X.
Yeah. Yep. I'm
Okay.
Gen Xer.
Not all Gen Z people suck. Like there are Gen Z people who are exactly like when you were growing up and when I was growing up, but they're not as loud on the internet as the crazy ones. But there's just normal, just like young boys and girls have always been, but they're just not as I guess vocal.
Because they're afraid to be vocal, probably.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Yeah. No, but that's cool that you say that about the young people. And for me too, like throughout my career, I've always listened to the younger people, and because they see things differently through their young eyes, and also they're more in tuned with what's, especially me. I'm older. I'm like 20 years older than you. I'm 52. So so even when I'm talking to you, you have a younger perspective on the world, and you might know different things in pop culture that I'm not aware of or whatever, and it keeps me young in return. That's why I like to be around younger people, and that's what's great about comedy, is because everyone feels a kinship and a camaraderie, and age almost doesn't matter sometimes. You'll be hanging out with like a 20-year-old kid, just like talk to them.
Pete, you always hear people talk about diversity, but comedy is like natural diversity. It's not like DEI, we have to hire an Asian, we have to hire a strange group of people that all end up together and then could become friends and end up hanging out. So comedy is diversity done right.
Right. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
It's like Chris Rock said one time. He was like on The View, and he was like, dude, stand-up comedy is the only time where you'd see me, Joy Behar, and like he's like me, Joy Behar, and like Adam Sandler just hanging out at the mall. And it's so true.
It is very diverse, and that's a good mix of age, ideology, everything. Because you know what the bond is the funny, and comedians. That's why I like hanging out with comedians, even though I don't perform stand-up comedy these days. There's a kinship, and there's a we're all in it for the same reasons. We all see the world through different lenses, man. And I think that's what keeps us all like stronger. I mean, there's some little problems here and there with some, but I think overall it's everyone gets along.
Yeah, overall for sure. And it's in the open mic scene in New York City and really everywhere in America, there's always going to be some crazies that come in, but they're not really there for comedy. Maybe some people just want some sort of social group or something, but they get weeded out. They get Darwinism weeds them out.
There are even like on the island, as you know, there's certain little cliques of open mics where you get those kind of people where it's like, are you like doing this like to do stand up and pursue it, or you just want to like hang out?
They just want friends.
Right. So yeah, like you said, Darwinism weeds it out.
Are you Charlie Rose?
I am.
I'm here with Charlie Rose.
First, you should ask permission.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie Rose. Well, it's an honor. You're a broadcasting legend, and I want to say I think you were treated unfairly with that Me Too stuff. And I got to ask you one question: Are Gail and Oprah, are they lesbians together? That's okay. Okay. Yeah.
What I thought too, I was looking at your TikTok today with Charlie Rose. It's just so funny to me that you get Charlie Rose and you can ask him a million questions. And
Dude, I was already operating on the high. I got to give you my mindset coming into it, because we all have different modes. Sometimes we're more docile. Sometimes, maybe we just won a baseball game or something and we're amped. I just got off of, I was doing Trump. Biden was in town. So he was doing Seth Meyers. So I went and imitated Biden. Then I did Trump. And then I crashed like a news reporter. So I was amped up. Right. And I'm in the Apple store editing the footage I just got. And I see a guy that looks just like Charlie Rose, but he was just by himself, like everybody else in the Apple store, asking one of the Apple employees for help. And she was like, yeah, it's going to be 20 minutes. He's like, 20 minutes? He's like, yeah, you got to wait over there. And he walks off, and I'm like, is that Charlie Rose? I wasn't sure. So I Googled him, and a picture of him maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago comes up, and I'm like, okay, they look pretty damn similar, but I don't know. So I almost didn't approach it.
Right.
I said, you know what? F it. Today, I got all this great footage. I was feeling more just like anything's possible tonight. Right. So I had my phone already recording, and I'm like, are you Charlie Rose? And he's like, yes, I am. And then I pull the camera up, and he goes, it's not considerate to be filming without asking. So I'm like, I'm sorry, Charlie Rose. But, and I had very little time to think of what I was going to say. So first, everything I said was honest. I said, it's an honor to meet a broadcasting legend. I truly meant that. Yeah. Then I said, this is where I messed up, I think, a little bit in terms of him running off. I said, I think you were treated unfairly with that Me Too stuff. Right. I genuinely meant. I wasn't saying that. Now, obviously, he probably, in hindsight, doesn't even want it. He just wants to put that behind him. He doesn't want, especially some stranger coming up to him with a camera. But I genuinely wanted to let him know that I thought that him, like a lot of other people, were lumped in with Harvey Weinstein's. And so, and then the real zinger was, I just have one question for you. Are Gail and Oprah lesbians together? And then he walked up. But he started to watch. The second I brought up Me Too.
The second you brought up the Me Too thing, you can see his face change, and he starts like trying to get away from you. And then you sense that. Then you were like, fuck it, I'm going for the Hail Mary.
Exactly. I'm like, the ship is going down. Let's just Gail, is Gail a lesbo?
He just kind of walked off. It was so great, man. And he is one of the greats of interviewing and broadcast. And like you said, he got a really unfair deal. I don't even know what was his Me Too about. Like, was he flirting with like an intern? So I forget what it was.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I remember, and I'm no fan of Andrew Cuomo in any way, shape, or form, but he was kicked out, and a year later, I remember it was a Newsday, which is the more liberal news. Newsday is like the more liberal paper, right?
Yeah, Long Island. Yeah, Newsday's probably.
Yeah, the Long Island. So I somehow found a copy of Newsday, and they were saying, "Oh, looking back on the Cuomo allegations a year later, 2 of the women who said he did something, they weren't even in the same state as him at the time. There were records that showed they weren't even in that state." Hang on, my computer's going a little darker now, so I want to make sure that it doesn't die. I don't know. This is one of the weirdest computer experiences I've ever had. But
that's all good.
Was all that still recorded? That wasn't lost?
Yeah, we
Okay.
got everything up until we were talking about the Charlie Rose, what
Yeah,
happened to him.
and I was mentioning Cuomo. Two of the women weren't even in the state, and then one woman said he hugged me too long. He held a hug too long at a Christmas party in the year 2000. We're talking about a pre 9/11 hug.
Wow, yeah,
It's insane. So
I feel like with a lot of these guys at that time period, when Matt Lauer, when they were all going down like flies, I feel like that was witch hunt time, and I mean there were some that may have deserved it.
right.
I mean, I don't know all of the cases, but like in this one, if it's just a long hug,
Yeah, it's nuts.
and then you lose a legend.
Yeah. So I feel bad for Charlie. And I looking back, I felt a little bit, I hope he didn't think I was really trying to attack him, because I really wasn't. I was just trying to, yes, the Gayle thing, I wanted I felt that would probably get a lot of attention. That's how the internet works. Let's be real.
Right,
Holding hands and singing Kumbaya doesn't get views. You know what I'm saying? But I really genuinely meant that I felt he got a rough go with the allegations and all that stuff. But it was a fun moment. I'll have that. One day when he passes away, I'll be like, look, I met Charlie at the Apple store, and may he rest in peace.
That's great, man. I just got a kick out of it. I'm like, man, he gets Charlie Rose. He looked like he was ready to talk too. Like he was like, hey, yeah, how are you? And then and then yeah, but you sensed it once you mentioned the Me Too. Then he turned off, and then you just went, "F this, man! I'm going for it." Tell me about Oprah and Gayle. Are they lesbians? And I think he may have sprinted. That might have been the first time he ran in 10 years.
And I got to ask you one question: Are Gayle and Oprah, are they lesbians together? That's okay. Okay, yeah, all right.
So now you're doing these cameos. I imagine most are for Trump, right? Most people want you to be Trump.
Yeah, he is, dude. Talk about creating jobs. We created so many jobs. He is the big money maker with Cameo. People love him. He's like he's like Justin Bieber. I saw Biden's motorcade go by yesterday. You could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, there was no people lining the streets. Yeah.
Nobody said, woo! Even people who voted, I'm sure there are people in there who voted for him and will vote for him or plan on voting for him again, but that you didn't hear anything. Trump goes by, it's like those girls fainting like the Beatles. I think that's all telling.
What are some of the most popular things people are asking you to say as Trump? Like anything crazy?
Usually it's a happy birthday, or Mother's Day is huge, Father's Day, but really Mother's Day is the biggest. Dads get a bad rap, dude. Moms, everybody wants to get the best gift from mom. But some of the most unique requests I've gotten is when people want me as Trump to announce to their family that their wife is pregnant. I've had somebody hire me to do Trump, asking their friend to be the godfather of their child, which was wild.
Wow.
But I would say the most unique request I've gotten as Trump was from a guy who became estranged from his sister because they were on different ends of the political spectrum. He was more conservative, his sister was more liberal, and she straight up stopped talking to her brother because of politics. And he was hoping that I could use the humor of Trump and how I do it to bridge that gap and get them back together. Now, that was never followed up with me, or if he tried to, maybe I didn't see that email or the DM, but so I don't know if that worked out, but that was one of the most unique requests I've gotten.
That's crazy because, when you do these cameos, you're getting invested in some personal family things, whether it's babies, marriage, Mother's Day.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, no homo. It is a little touching.
Yeah.
Like I do, like in my heart or whatever, sometimes it's in addition to the money, because some people make money by selling crack, liquor stores, cigarettes, but I'm able to make money but also do something good for the people. Yeah, it's definitely extremely fulfilling for sure.
And is it strictly Trump that you do, or has anybody requested
Oh
Biden?
no, no. The people have requested Biden a few times. Some people. I used to do more skits with. I used to do Jerry and Kramer. Hey Jerry. Kramer, what are you doing? So a couple people asked me to do Seinfeld skits. I've been asked to do Bill Burr, Sebastian Maniscalco. What's going on here? My father, my Italian immigrant father. Have you heard of? So him, yeah, and like Bill Burr, it's like people asking me to do Burr, I'm in an apartment. I can't be too loud, all right? But Bill Burr, and so I've gotten others, and I am trying to. I'm now slowly diversifying, just because I leaned way harder into Trump exclusively for a period of time after that first indictment, and that's simply because how they say follow the money. That's where the money was coming, so that's where I went.
Yeah, man. And you're doing great. Like I saw a video of you, like I think it was at Times Square, and you just kind of approaching people, and everybody seems to love you. Like I would have thought, and I'm not in the city that often, that walking around dressed up as Trump might be dangerous. But you seem to be getting a lot of love.
I'll tell you this. It's because the people who hate him, they automatically assume I'm making fun of him. But then the people who love him, they get what's up. So I'm in a very lucky situation. Although I don't believe in luck, I do believe you make your own luck. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm in a very lucky situation where I'm able to, but it's two movies, one screen. So it's one screen, but this side sees this movie, that side sees that movie, and I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
Right.
But what I will say is this, and this is very important. This is something I got to get off my chest, because I got hate from another Trump impersonator on Twitter when I first blew up on April 4th. And I will just say this, and this is very important, what I'm about to say to you. There are individuals out there who impersonate Trump, who are like wannabe political commentators. And yeah, they're funny and everything, but they're very overtly political. Now, I don't shy away ever from sharing my views, but I do it covertly using actual comedy, which is what an actual comedian does. But what I will say is certain Trump impersonators bashing me on Twitter have not made one person support Trump who didn't support Trump. They're not converting anybody, okay? Nobody who's a talking head, they're just preaching to their own side, and no, they're not making any political impact. Me, on the other hand, have people coming up to me. I have it on film. People coming up to me all the time. I was a libtard. Your Trump impression made me a Republican, made me a Trump supporter, made me see the light, made me take that, what do they call it, the red pill?
Into these two guys.
He made me love Trump. I used to be a Democrat, not anymore.
See that? See that? That's comedy, baby. Yo, you guys are fucking old. What are your names? Jason?
Michael.
My name's also Jason.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael. Good to meet you guys. That's awesome. You guys are awesome.
This is another thing in terms of personal fulfillment, feeling like I'm doing the right thing, feeling like I'm making an impact. I'm actually seeing myself make an impact on the world, on the cultural zeitgeist. So
Yeah, for sure.
So that adds extra gas into my my engine.
Right on. Now, as you know, being in New York, and all this stuff happening with the trial just a few weeks ago, do you show up to that dressed as Trump, or do you shy away?
I'm definitely going to that. And I also use Trump to covertly expose some of the bad things happening in the city. For instance, the migrant situation. My buddy Ron lives right across the street from the Row Hotel.
Is that Ron Barber?
Yeah, Ron Barba. That's my
Yeah.
buddy. So Ron, Ron's got a $1.4 million apartment, which he paid for, or really his dad paid for, to be honest. But love Ron, but let's be real. And his neighborhood became like Guatemala. So I was like, no, let's do a Trump video. Let's expose the migrant situation. So I did like 3-4 videos
And one video, this one guy was like, "Get out of here," and all the comments were like, "Yo, this guy who came in illegally is telling the American-born citizen to get out of here." So once again, I was using comedy to expose the situation.
Right on, man. And that's the best way to get through to people is through comedy.
Who do you think's gonna win?
I don't speak English.
You don't speak English, but that was in English. Okay, how about me or Biden? Me, yeah, there we go. We're gonna win so big. Come here, do the dance, Come on, there we go. Unbelievable deals. Come here, sir.
So is this your first time doing Trump to this level during an election cycle?
Yes.
So this is gonna be huge. This is gonna be this is gonna be huge. A huge couple of months.
It's gonna be huge, believe me. But I did Trump all throughout 2015, 2016, but that was just strictly stand-up. That was before I started doing internet stuff. So so yeah, this is my first time, and I was telling my team, because I got a management team now, it's like my job is to mirror the news. So I just want to mirror the news. So whatever's the hot news story. Yesterday, Biden was in town. I went down there. Wherever the heat is, go to the heat. And so that's what I plan on doing. Not just the New York trial. I'm gonna be at the Miami trial. I'm gonna be at the Georgia trial. I'm gonna be at the what is it? You lose track. There's so many.
You can set your tour dates on the trial dates
around the trial.
You just hit a couple clubs in Atlanta.
Well, it'll be like me and Trump both. In the mornings we'll be in court, and then at night we'll be either campaigning or at a comedy club.
What I think is great too is you actually did your impression for Trump once.
I did.
Like in the beginning, right?
That's one of my favorite stories ever. Because because okay. My favorite things in life are the things that happen out of nowhere. The things you plan, you sort of expect because you planned them. But the things that happen out of nowhere, that's to me the real magic. That's what gets me excited. Like bumping into Charlie Rose.
Right.
That's what makes the fireworks go off in my mind, because it's completely okay. So
right,
Trump announces he's running for president June 20th, 2015. That night, I'm hanging out with my comedian friends. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't think, I just knew him as the Apprentice guy, the guy with the funny hair, that's how the whole world knew him at that point. The guy who was just roasted on Comedy Central. So at that point in American politics, I was like, nobody who got roasted on Comedy Central is ever going to become the president of the United States.
Right, yeah,
so I looked at the whole thing as sort of a publicity stunt. I thought it was really entertaining. So I'm sitting there talking to my friend about it. It was that night, the night he came down the escalator, that night. And I say to my buddy, Mike, I said, dude, and this idea, this is once again, you want to talk about God, whatever the hell. I mean, I do believe in God, but who knows what comes from where and what. There's so many things that we human beings, we don't know. I got theories, but we don't know. But what I can tell you is when this idea hit me, it's almost like it fell out of this, like this egg, like this fortune cookie. It went like this. It just hit me in the head. I'd never gotten a tattoo in my life, but I say to my buddy Mike, and once again, this was as a joke because I thought he was running like as a publicity thing. I said, dude, what if I got a Trump 2016 tattoo?
And that was your first tattoo ever?
My first tattoo ever. And Mike just looks at me without skipping a beat. He goes, dude, if you get that, I'll pay for it. Which is a big deal because he's a Jew. So that's an extra big deal.
There you go.
So I remember I'm like, yeah, I'm all gung-ho. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I remember talking to this girl and she was like, those aren't really your friends. If they're going to pay for that, those aren't your friends. So then she started to get into my head. So then I go back to Mike and he goes, if you don't do it, you're a pussy. Now at that age, I think I was 23, something, 24, 22. I don't even know. Early 20s. At that age, psychologically, I had this issue. If somebody called me a pussy, I think I'd do anything. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we marched down there. It's, everything in New York closes at 4 a.m.
Right.
We marched down there. It's like 3:50. The guy is closing up the tattoo shop. And my drunken gaggle of friends come over. They're like, oh, wait. He's like literally closing the thing, locking it up, ready to go home. Mike goes, sir, my friend here, he needs a tattoo. The guy's like, no, we close. You coming back tomorrow? And they go, no, you don't understand. He wants a Trump 2016 tattoo. Homie stops, looks at us, and goes, whoa, I'm opening back up.
Damn, yeah.
Opens the gate back up. He calls his tattoo guy, who's now at the train station waiting for the train. Happened to be a Mexican guy. Remember the big news was Mexicans are rapists. He calls him. He's like, Pedro, you got to come. This guy wants a Trump 2016 tattoo. He's like, holy shit. He comes back. They keep the place open illegally just for us to get this crazy tattoo. Mike ended up chipping in 50. My friend Melissa and my friend Gene. Melissa and Gene ended up starting to date after that. Now they're married. So guess what? My Trump tattoo created a fucking marriage.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we get the tattoo, and then I post it online. And at that time, you know, people forget because he was president for 4 years and people had such strong emotions. But at that time, everybody just thought it was hilarious. Like nobody was offended by it. Maybe one or two people, but the overwhelming majority of people in show business and comedy were just like, yo, that's so bad. That's commit. They're like, talking about commit to the bit. So then people got in my ear and they started to say, Jason, you gotta tweet him. You gotta tweet him. You gotta get he needs to see this. So I would tweet him and he didn't see it. And I tweeted the kids. I tweeted Don Jr., Eric, you know, nobody saw it. So, you know, I started to get a little discouraged, and I had a job at the time walking dogs in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And I had like 15 dogs and they're all biting each other and barking. And I'm like, I'm hating my life. And I'm hating these dogs. And I'm looking over right across the river is Manhattan, you know? And it's like, damn, I want to be in the big city, not in Greenpoint with the Polish people and the dogs in hell. So I'm like, I had this glimmer of hope. And I'm like, maybe Trump saw my tweet. So I take out my phone. I open up the Twitter app. Now it's X, but it was Twitter at the time. And no, Trump did not see my tweet, but he said, big announcement. I'm going to be doing an in-person book signing for my book, Crippled America, at Trump Tower this Tuesday at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Be there. It's going to be the best thing ever. So I'm like, oh, this is it. He'll be there. I'll be there. The media will be there. So I wake up early that day. I get in line. I come in. I show Trump, and Trump loved it so much. Because he had that resting Trump face on. He was just like, he sees the tattoo. He lights up, the biggest smile I've ever seen on a human being. So then he's like, wow, I love that. This kid's a winner. I love it. And then I see him thinking because he's signing the book. And then I see him go, wait a minute. And he pulls back his chair and he goes, come here. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So Trump, he's sitting at a desk with like the big apprentice chair, like red leather chair, and the line of people are behind us. But then over to the right is like a curtained off, and all the media are there. And when I say all the media, I mean everyone. CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS, Channel 21, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, New York Times, Time Magazine, Variety Fair, everything, world, Japan, Italy, Spain, everybody in the whole world media are there. He was the hottest story in the world, and they all followed him around like flies on shit. So I run up to Trump and I'm all excited, and he just looks at me and he goes, get the book. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, Donald, I'm sorry. I'm going to go grab it right now. I got you, Mr. Trump. So I run back, I get the book, I hand him the book, and then he starts posing, holding up the book and pointing, best salesman in the world. He's holding up the book, pointing to my arm, and he's like, this kid, I got to win the election next year for this kid. So he's like, wow, look at that. And he's posing. So, and the picture of that was half the page in the New York Post. It was half the
page
Yeah.
6 or 7. Page 7 was me and him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then he goes back and sits down, and then I go to walk off, and the media's like, no, 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 don't go anywhere. They're like, how old are you? What's your name? What do you do? Oh, you're a comedian. Da, 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 da. Where do you perform? Da, 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 da. And then they were finally done with me. They said, thanks, take care, adios.
Tattoo here is something I got a little while ago in the West Village. When he had just announced, I sort of got it as a joke. I wasn't really even into him at the time. So I really just got it as a joke. But since then, he's kind of grown on me, and I actually kind of like the guy.
So I go to walk off, and then I bump into a guy named Mark Halpern. And he was another one who got Me Too'd and fell off the face
He's
of
a
the
writer
earth.
too, right? A reporter.
Yeah, he's a writer, and he used to have a show called I forget what it was called, but it was on Bloomberg, and he was also on MSNBC all the time. He was a big deal.
Yeah.
He had that show called The Circus on Showtime where they followed around the 2016 election with
That's
that other
probably
guy, the
how I
bald
know
guy.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he like has a little smirk on his face. He's like, so you're a comedian, huh? You want to do some jokes for our cameras? And I was like, sure. So at the time, Obama was president. So I do a little bit of that and this and there you go again. So I do that. And then he's like, I do a little George W. Bush. Here in America, we're here at a Trump test show called my birth, something about low energy. I said, Donald, that's mean. Al Qaeda. So I did that, and then he goes, can you do a Trump? I'm like, can I do a Trump? Of course I could do a Trump. So he goes, he looks me right in the eye, and he goes, would you be willing to do that in front of him? And I'm like, of course I'd be willing to do that in front of him. Are you kidding me? So then he goes, oh yeah, we interviewed him at the Woolman Rink yesterday, and we gave him questions he likes. And when we give him questions he likes, he gives us access. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So then he takes me over, and Trump was sitting there, and there was this really flamboyantly gay man talking to Trump. And he's like, I've never followed politics in my life. But he's like, but I saw you on TV, and I'm all in. I am all in. He's like, am I your guy? Am I your guy? He goes, I got to hear you say it. He goes, you're my guy. And he's like, there we go. And that guy gets shuffled off. And then Mark Halpern taps Trump on the shoulder. He goes, Mr. Trump, the tattoo guy, he does an impression of you. Would you like to see it? So he's like, sure. So Mark Halpern had one camera with his cell phone on Trump, and then they had the TV camera on me. And I'm like, you look at Hillary with the emails and whatever else I said. So then it was great because you had me, and then they cut to his reaction, and then back to me. And then he goes, very good. He's better than the pros. He is a pro. And then Trump goes, very good. Come here. He gives me his hand. So then I go his hand like that. And then I had my hand on his back. I'm like groping the president. I'm all over it. I got my one hand on his back, one hand over here. He's giving me the yank. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Wow. That's freaking awesome. Talk about a tattoo that paid off.
Yeah.
Can we see it real quick? Where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yes. That's the one. That's the money, man.
The money. And it was all, like I said, I'd like to take credit, but I can't. The idea, I'll never forget the way it came to me. It was like a rock fell and hit me in the head. It was like the idea was smacked into my brain.
And I bet you that's more than you thought would ever happen with this.
Who the hell would predict? Who the hell would think that could happen? But it happened.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome.
The emails, look, it's going to be huge. I'm a deal guy. Very good. It's the greatest. Very good. It's quite frankly, we're going to make America great again, and it's really going to be huge. That's very good. Come here. Come here. Listen, it's better than the pros. He is a pro.
All right. So you got to meet Trump, and it was a great meeting, and he loved you. And then it paid off. He won. So he did it for you. I think he did it for you for the tattoo.
That's when I tell this story in my stand-up, that's the big punchline. I'm like, you're welcome, America. And that works with audiences that hate him and love him.
Right on.
You're welcome.
So now we're seeing, the whole 4 years with Trump and everything, man, this guy did a great job, despite the fact that he had people trying to take him down almost every single day of those 4 years. It was nuts. And here we go again, they're trying to ruin this dude. Like, you know, when you think about all of these things, what's your take on it?
So my take on it is, you know, it definitely gets you angry. Like, I got into a political fight in the street yesterday for the first time in years. I used to argue with everybody. It was like fun for me. It was like recreation. But I just stopped doing that. I stopped doing that. I just completely stopped. But yesterday, there was a woman. So we're waiting to see. I'm waiting to film Trump with Biden in the motorcade, leaving Seth Meyers' show.
Right. And you're dressed as Trump right now.
I'm dressed as Trump. So first, like I said, you know, some people think I'm mocking him. So this woman's like, "Can I get a picture?" And I'm like, okay. So then I hear that same woman. So I just figured, but I also assume that they like him. But I don't realize that some people hate his guts, but they still want the picture. So I hear this woman who asked for the picture maybe 10 minutes prior, because we're all standing there, you know, waiting for Biden to go by. And she's talking I overhear there's this woman from Argentina. She's got a Latin accent next to me. And her husband's joking. He's like, "Oh, you're not a Republican, are you?" And then the woman, I didn't really hear her response, but she didn't give an affirmative no. And then he goes, "Please, you must vote for Biden. You have to vote for Biden." So I'm just listening, laughing along. Then the Argentinian woman starts to speak up, and she goes, "No, Biden's done a terrible job." She's like, "You look at this city. I used to come here all the time. Now I come here." She goes, "All the migrants and the homeless in the street and the crime and the no cash bail." And she goes, "It's all gone to hell." And then she just goes, wait. She's like, "It's only you goes, "You have to understand what you just said is not true." She goes, "That's Fox News rhetoric." And she goes, "You know, a very, very small portion of the migrants who come here commit crimes." And she's like, "America is a welcoming country. America's an accepting country. That's what our country was founded on, as immigrants." And so then I'm like, "Miss, I hear you saying something about a very small portion commit crime." I say, let's put that aside for a second. Let's say the majority of them aren't committing crimes. They're here. They have to be housed, fed, clothed, educated. I'm like, the kids got kicked out of the school, the high schoolers, to put the migrants in there. I'm like, homeless veterans have been kicked out of the hotels. And I'm like, but of course you don't see that because you just think it's racist because they're brown or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, now you're reading my mind." So now she has the crazy eyes. You know, the crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm a professional impressionist. I can't even imitate the crazy eyes because mentally I can't go to that place that she's at. I just can't. I can't do that. She has the crazy eyes.
That's crazy, kooky.
She has the crazy fucking eyes. And then she tells me, so then she's losing it and she's saying all this stuff. So I go, "All right, sweetheart. Well, just wait till November and see what happens." So then when I say that, she snaps and goes, "Well, if he does win, we will lose democracy forever. He will kill all the reporters. He will kill all the people who criticized him. He will refuse to leave." And I say, "Why didn't he do that the first time? He was there for 4 years. Why didn't he do that the first time?" And she goes, "Well, he tried." Once again, with the eyes. She goes, "Well, he tried." And I'm like, "Tried how? What stopped him?" She goes, "Well, the judges." So I'm like, "Oh, so you're saying judges stopped him? So you're saying a judge said something and he followed the rules." So that's when she had a mini stroke. And her family started, I guess her family has dealt with this before.
They know she's losing it.
The husband grabbed one arm, the other one was like grabbing the other arm. They're like, "Maggie, it's okay. Just you don't engage. Don't engage." And then she was having a full-on mental breakdown. Wow. So, but back to what I was saying. All the lawfare is a double-edged sword. It's a complete double-edged sword because I don't think it would have been a lot tougher for him to make a comeback if the public hadn't seen him be persecuted this hard.
Right.
And with every indictment, it strengthened his argument, which was, it's rigged, they cheated, they stole it, I'm being treated unfairly. So then you see, wait, again, a lawsuit. $350 million. So, but I think the big turning point was the mugshot.
Is there anyone on the planet that doesn't know what I look like? I wish there were some people like that. That'd be very nice for me. And yet, for some reason, the communist Democrats in Atlanta made a mugshot of me. That's a mugshot because I said the election was rigged.
Yeah.
The mugshot was the big turning point. That was there was a seismic shift, and I feel it more than other people because I'm pounding the pavement. I'm in the streets. I'm in the subways. I'm in Times Square. I'm in wherever. I'm all over the country. I'm in LA. Well, LA,
that's crazy town.
You think New York is bad?
Yeah.
New York is like Texas compared to Los Angeles. They are. I can't even begin. And I enjoy that city, but they're gone. There's no saving it. But anyways, what was I saying?
You're everywhere is Trump.
The narrative. What would you say is the biggest argument that the anti-Trump people have? What would you say was their number one thing about him?
He's racist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That narrative was holding the whole fort up of the Democrat Party. Now that you got every rapper alive, Kanye was the first one, then every rapper like came out and endorsed him. All the black people in the streets like, we fuck with Trump, we love Trump, da 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 da. And I don't know whether it was the 75,000 arrests and whatever, but it's that whole narrative. And then you see, because I don't watch like CNN or MSNBC, but I was having trouble falling asleep the other night. So I was on YouTube and I started watching these clips from CNN and MSNBC, and I'm like, dude, they've, the term jump the shark?
Yeah, yeah.
They're on there now. They're like, he will put us in jail. He will give us the death penalty. It's like that can't, even their audience, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
It is over. There's only one way now to stop him from winning like 48 of the 50 states. And that is, but to be honest, I think he would even survive that.
He probably would. He'd probably be
He's
like
not
a paraplegic or something.
Guy. He's got enough fat I think that would protect his vital organs.
Imagine if they did attempt that and he lived. He would be like
exactly
through the roof.
He win 50 states.
Yeah.
And another thing, from 48 to 50. But another thing is what I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast is you could control your own reality. You could do this. You could do that. Nobody understands that more than him. And this is what like I remember when Trump started running, and he was trying to appeal to the religious crowd, and obviously he's not a church-going guy. He didn't know any Bible verses. Even just hear him saying anything out of the Bible just sounded sort of. He'd be like, "Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ," right, and the big beautiful cross, right? It just didn't even sound right. But as my perception of the world and everything has sharpened, Donald Trump is actually the most faithful person alive because he believes in himself.
Yep.
His faith that he can come back and he could beat this and do that and become president in the first place and become a billionaire and do this. What a lot of people who go to church every week and read the Bible know it by heart, left and right. They don't have that same level of faith that Donald Trump has, who doesn't know anything about the Bible. But that's the thing about faith, is that faith is truly believe. It's like in the third Indiana Jones movie where they had to walk across the invisible bridge that they couldn't see, but it was there. He really believes that bridge is there. So, and that's it's all, I'm making sense, right?
Yeah, no, you definitely making sense. I think I think there's a lot to that, with, like you're saying, where you create your own destiny, and Trump has definitely did that throughout his entire career, whether it be just in business, Savvy, The Art of the Deal, to the TV show that was a huge hit for I don't know how many seasons, it was like 8 seasons, or more than that maybe, to now becoming the president, who, people could argue whether how much they like or dislike Trump, but on paper, those years were amazing until COVID, all of a sudden came in, and people have their own thoughts on that as well. But in any case, man, and And now we're all, like, to your point, we're all seeing with our own eyes him being targeted heavily on all angles, man. They're trying to destroy this dude. They're not, you know, so they're afraid of something. That makes you wonder.
Yeah, well, I could even go in further with that. You look at, because it's like, why? The question is why? And it's not just because he said Mexicans were rapists on the border. No, 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 no. It's because of his policies when he was in president, and he didn't start any new wars. And, everybody knows the war is the biggest ka-ching machine.
Yep.
And the people who really control this country, the CIA, the FBI, I mean, more and more people are waking up to this. They're not going after him because they thought an orange man racist. No, 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 no,
Right.
no, 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 no. Because follow the money, 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 follow. But back to what I was saying before. Okay, so basically, different people have different thoughts on God, religion. You got Catholics, Protestants, but from my studies is right, the Catholic belief is like, if you become the best you, that's what makes God happy. Because other religions are more like, no, 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 you can't be too this because God has done it up. And I think the Catholics, which I'm a Catholic, and I actually started going back to church with my buddy Ron, but that's a whole other thing, is that
Nice.
Trump is reaching his full potential, which is more like godly than a lot of these people who go to church every week, who just go through the motions, who, still do this and do that and do this and do that bad thing, but they think, oh, I go every week, so I'm great. But it's like, they don't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
We're in some crazy times, man, and I feel it too. It's funny you say that, you and Ron are going back to church and things like that. I'm Catholic also, but I feel like we're seeing a lot. The pendulum is swinging. A lot more people finding religion again because it just got so evil, like the pop culture and everything else just got so dark and weird, and there's so many, there's so much, with the internet and everything, talks of all these secret cultures and underground societies and all this stuff, where it makes you wonder. And then so I just feel like more and more people are going towards religion in this day and age.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. A lot of things that when I was growing up, I heard when I was like in my early 20s, I would hear about Illuminati and this and that, and I just dismissed it. I'm like, none of that stuff is real. But now that I'm old enough, and I've been in Hollywood many, 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 many times. I always say, as terrible as a lot of things are out there, I love Los Angeles. But because, like I said, I make the best wherever the hell I am. I'm gonna make the best of it.
Right,
But
yeah.
no, I know I've had enough eyewitnesses who have seen all this stuff and the devil worshiping and the cult and all this crap. And but I don't even think about that crap too much, because it's like, when you first hear about that, everybody gets intimidated, because it's scary and everything. But then you realize it's like everything negative, all negativity does is soak up your time and your energy so that you can't be doing good things. So yeah, there's all time, dude. There's people out there buying babies, and then raising them to be sex slaves and everything, and it's all this stuff. But you know what? The real way to make a difference is to, obviously there are authorities to deal with that, but you and me and everybody else is just live your best life, do the right thing, and that's how you make a change. As corny as that may sound to some people, that actually literally is how you make an impact and a difference. And yeah, I'm a big believer in the negative. It's almost like that black cloud from that show Lost. Remember Lost?
Right. Yeah.
Anything of the dark arts, it's got this, like, you're like, oh my God, bad things. And then it's like you got this sunken feeling and you think about it. But I spend a lot of time and focus on the light and the good side. And I see myself progressing, moving forward, making an impact, doing these things. So, yeah.
Excellent, man.
Well, we're here at the courthouse, right? We call it courthouse. where I'm going to be turning myself in so unfairly.
I'm also going live. So.
Right, well, we're here with the fake news, right? They're trying to kick me out so unfairly, but we're going to come back there. You can look at that sign across the street. You got black, African, American for Trump.
Jason Scoop, thanks so much, man, for taking the time and doing this today. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all that fun stuff.
So at Jason Scoop on Instagram, at Jason Scoop Comedy on TikTok and YouTube. And I'm also Jason Scoop on Twitter.
Very cool. And you can find them on Cameo.
Yes. Oh, and Cameo. Cameo.com/Jason Scoop Comedy.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Dude, Jason, thanks so much, brother. Jason Scoop, everybody.
Pleasure.